Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We made it. It's Friday. You ready? We're gonna have a great weekend. I'm actually pretty pumped about the weekend. John Amachukwu, Pastor John, the book banning pastor, as people affectionately or not so affectionately refer to him, depends on which side of the aisle you're on. It's either a good thing or it's a bad thing. He's going to be joining the show today at 10:35, and he's actually going to be in Murfreesboro preaching at World Outreach Church Saturday night at, I believe that's 6:30, and no, at 6, and then Sunday morning at 9:30. So if you like John, you're going to be able to see him in person at World Outreach Church this weekend, 2 times to join him.
Can't wait.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I was talking to Joan before the show. I said, Joan, we're gonna be meeting John Amachukwu to say hi. I want to introduce you to my wife. I said, you should come along. And she reminded me that you already introduced me to John.
I tried to do it delicately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes you. He's a big fan of Joan Jones. Everybody's a big fan of Joan Jones. It's not a surprise to see why. So he's going to join the show at 10:35. We'll recap what happened at Murfreesboro City Schools about a month ago now, and how they have since removed the book in question. Plus, I'll get his perspective on what's been transpiring in the Trump administration. John has some very strong opinions on DEI and DEI hires, and I love his perspective. So we'll talk to him about all that. Plus, we got Donald Trump heading to North Carolina. He's officially heading there right now, and he said, we gotta fix it up. We got to fix it up. This should have been done months ago.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. North Carolina has been a horrible thing, the way that's been allowed to fester, and we're going to get it fixed up. It should have been done months ago from the hurricane that took place almost 4 months ago. North Carolina has been treated very badly, so we're stopping there, and we're going to then go to Los Angeles and take a look at a fire that could have been put out if they let the water flow, but they didn't let the water flow, and they still haven't for whatever reason. So I think we're going to have a very interesting time. I think many of you are going with us. If you'd like to have a ride on the plane, we'd love to give it to you.
He's been so busy, this guy, and the stamina of a man who's 78 years old to just keep going. Do you think he's gotten 8 hours of sleep any night since he started being president? Anybody? I don't think so. And he just keeps going. The stamina is unmatched. So he's going to North Carolina, then he's going to California. He's answering questions from the press beforehand. Again, this is stuff that we never got out of Joe Biden.
I don't know. Is he going? Is he going? I don't know. I mean, I really don't. Because if he's going to be there, it would be cheaper, but I didn't invite him. Somebody did.
They're asking about Hegseth.
Whatever it is. He's a good man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know in those things, but Pete's a very, very good man. I hope he makes it. I was very surprised that Collins and Murkowski would do that.
He's remarking on a couple of tweets that were posted yesterday. One, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, they're officially out on Pete Hegseth, which is kind of ridiculous. There was one Republican senator who voted yes for the first 21 Joe Biden nominations. Only one. And it happened to be Susan Collins. She posted on X, after careful consideration, I've decided to vote no on Hegseth. One Susan Collins did, and I posted back. I said, after careful consideration, she chose early retirement via primary, clearly. And Lisa Murkowski, also out. Unreal. These people don't understand what's going on. And Lisa Murkowski, she should know better. I mean, back in December, she was talking about being worried about the fact that primaries were lingering for anyone that didn't support Donald Trump nominees. And it's like, yeah, where you at?
It's going to be hard, quite honestly. I think it's going to be hard in these next 4 years because you have an administration coming in that has had an opportunity to kind of see how things work, what didn't work, and now we've had 4 years to think about it, and the approach is going to be everybody toe the line. everybody line up. We got you here, and if you want to survive, you better be good. Don't get on Santa's naughty list here, because we will primary you.
And she knew all of this and yet still decided to go against the mandate from the American people. The man won the popular vote, okay? His approval rating is through the roof, higher than it's ever been, and Lisa Murkowski is still, she's enjoying the smell of her own farts, apparently. Brief history on Lisa Murkowski. She was appointed to the Senate by her dad. She lost the primary, won via write-in, raising questions about election integrity. She is as rhino as they come. Her and Susan Collins need to be gone. There's also rumors that McConnell is not going to support Pete Hegseth. And I just say, get rid of all of them. Honestly, it's time to stop playing around. Okay, even the new smear on Pete Hegseth from a divorced sister-in-law. It's a huge joke, and that's all that the Senate Democrats have to hang on. Chuck Schumer was talking about that new hit piece out on Pete Hegseth just yesterday.
We are being tasked to trust our armed forces to a man with a history of erratic behavior. One of the kindest words that might be used to describe Mr. Hegseth is erratic. And that's a quality you don't want as head of DOD. He has a history of excessive drinking, of alleged domestic abuse.
Yeah, good thing you put alleged in there. It would have been a lawsuit. Excessive drinking. His coworkers came out and said that it just wasn't true.
And zero experience leading a large organization of any kind. The new allegations that came out yesterday are even more troubling. And people say, well, how do we know they're true? Well, first, the person who did it has no strike against her.
So this is from Hegseth. The new allegations are from Hegseth's former sister-in-law, okay? And the former sister-in-law, who never got along with the family, said that Hegseth's ex-wife feared for her life while she was married to Hegseth. And the ex-wife denied all of that and said, nobody speaks for me. Yet this is the new smear tactic, right? This is the new campaign. They have nothing else to stand on. Okay.
But second, it just corroborates in an even worse way of what we've known about Hegseth in the past. He has a clear problem of judgment, as you've seen by his statements. It's like saying your heart surgeon has twitchy hands, but I'll let him do surgery on me. No one would do that. How on earth can America entrust our safety and security to a man who has allegedly shown up to work and other events inebriated?
I mean, come on. This is just so silly. You saw Kamala Harris the last 4 years. She showed up to work inebriated all the time. Now, I don't believe that Hegseth was showing up to work inebriated. I just don't. I don't buy it. I feel like it's low-hanging fruit. They can't prove it. Hegseth can't really deny it. You know what I mean? Unless they breathalyzed him at the time, right then and there. It's just one of those smears that you either believe it or you don't. Senator Bill Hagerty, though, he went scorched earth yesterday over the Democrats and legacy media and their coordinated hit campaign against Pete Hegseth. Yeah, our own Bill Hagerty was out there on the front lines, and he took down just about every piece of fake news against Pete Hegseth.
Despite Pete's qualifications, the mainstream media, desperate to derail President Trump and his nominees, has gone after Pete's character by airing false and unsubstantiated claims.
I think it's important to underline what he said there. They're not after Hegseth. They're after Trump. And they're really after you. These are just the people in the way.
Take, for example, the article published Tuesday, just this week, by the New York Times. Despite the salacious and misleading headline in this paper, buried beneath 13 paragraphs of slanderous allegations, the Times actually disclaims the entire story with a direct quote from the supposed victim herself, denying the allegations against Pete, saying, quote, "There was no physical abuse in my marriage." Yet look at this headline. Hegseth's ex-in-law claims he was abusive to second wife, even though in the same article, the second wife disclaims all of this.
That's how the fake news works, though, right? Let's bury the truth down at paragraph 14, and let's lead with the juicy stuff. If it bleeds, it leads, right?
This isn't journalism.
Facts.
Take a moment to think about this. This is a hit job.
Always has been.
The New York Times intentionally ran with a salacious and debunked account, buried the truth, and distorted the lead simply to undermine President Trump and his nominee. The New York Times is not alone. Unfortunately, NBC News, The Hill, Politico, and even the Associated Press all chose to run this same salacious, false headline instead of the facts.
It's almost like they get a game plan and a narrative sent down from up above, and they all have to run with it, right? It does. It seems completely coordinated, and they don't run the facts. Hagerty's absolutely right.
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised.
Are you?
This is the type of misleading and often unequivocally false reporting that we've learned to expect from the left-leaning media.
That's why people don't trust them.
The American people remember that the New York Times is the same publication that denied and suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story leading up to the 2020 election. It's the same paper that endorsed Joe Biden in 2020, the same paper that endorsed Kamala Harris in 2024. You know, the American people are sick and tired of the deception stemming from this alliance between the Democrat Party and the so-called mainstream media. This is yet another example of a story published with an aim to do harm, and despite evidence to the contrary. It's why media has lost much of its credibility with the American people, who see this article for what it is: a desperate, last-minute attempt to generate controversy where none exist.
Facts. Senator Hagerty just going scorched earth, and thank you for doing that, Senator. You know, we need that. But listen, people don't believe the mainstream media. I think there was some hope after the election that maybe because it was such an overwhelming victory that we wouldn't see the same kind of lies and fake news that we saw in the first Trump presidential term. I think that has now been debunked, and those hopes and wishes have floated off. We're going to see the exact same thing that we saw the first 4 years. We're going to see lies and smear campaigns. It's okay, though. It's okay. We're good at spotting these now, right? Like, and the majority of the American people don't trust the mainstream media. They don't have the clout that they did in 2016. They don't have the clout that they did in 2020. People understand what's going on. So they can continue to smear Hegseth and smear Donald Trump, and we're just going to go, okay. Okay. What about Murkowski and Collins, though? Primaries can't happen soon enough. Early retirement incoming. Republicans, you got to get in line, okay? We need to get these nominees in as quickly as possible. We got one nominee confirmed yesterday. We'll talk about it when we return. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
10 shots fired in 17 seconds. What we now know about the Antioch High School shooting. Also, we'll take a look at the March for Life. That's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 7 WTN.
You almost had it there, Joan.
Almost. if only my finger didn't hit the button.
And I was about to say how good of a job you guys have been doing.
Forget about it.
No, I'm just kidding. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. We have the best news team in the entire country. The way you guys have been covering that Antioch school shooting has been nothing short of professional and top-notch.
Oh, man, thank you.
And it's a tough story to cover. It's a tough story to cover.
It is a tough story to cover, I'll tell you.
It's heartbreaking. And you know, you got kids. I got kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's awful. My heart breaks for all the families dealing with everything that's going on in Antioch right now. And hopefully we get to the bottom of it very, very soon. Dan had a fantastic interview this morning with, and I'm blanking on her name. What was her name?
Fran Bush.
Fran Bush, about the superintendent down there in Antioch. Definitely worth the listen. Murphy has also been doing a fantastic job of coverage on the Antioch school shooting, and Chad's been covering it as well. And, our heart goes out to everybody dealing with the pain and the loss out there in Antioch. It is heartbreaking.
For sure.
Heartbreaking. There's a lot to get to today, though. And I told you, we got Murkowski and Collins and McConnell. They're not going to vote for Hegseth. They're just not. That's okay, though. I think he can still get in. It would mean we'd need J.D. Vance to be the tie-breaking vote, which, spoiler alert, I don't think he would have a problem doing whatsoever. So it's not the end of the world. Let the rhinos expose themselves, right? And let's keep an elephant memory, okay? Because Murkowski just got reelected. Susan Collins, we got like 2 years, but they got to go, okay? If you're not going to get in line, you got to get lost. We have a mandate from the American people, okay? And there's room for debate. Like there's definitely room for debate. Not on these nominations. Not on these nominations. We did see yesterday one person was confirmed, and that was CEI Director John Ratcliffe. He is officially in there. He was confirmed yesterday, and that is big news. The CIA was weaponized against Donald Trump for how many years? And that's not going to happen anymore. It was Ratcliffe who was calling out a lot of what Brennan was doing and the deep state was doing against Donald Trump. So he's in. He's officially in, and the CIA is going to have to change. We have a new report from O'Keefe Media, a CIA officer bragging about hiding information from Trump.
What are you following? I work in the intelligence community.
Wait, what do you do?
I work for the CIA.
I imagine it must have been really tough for you to work in the intel community under a Trump administration. And that's when the floodgate opened.
Information from them.
From Trump?
He said we kept information from him. She goes, from Trump?
When an executive branch agency is actively withholding information from the commander-in-chief, bragging about doing it, I mean, it's very rare that you actually get something like this with incontrovertible proof. You hear conspiracy theories, you hear allegations, but this guy was actually talking about how they withheld important intelligence from the president.
Now, again, yeah, this was a conspiracy theory for years, right? And I say conspiracy theory because we all believe it to be the truth. We just could never really prove it. This new expose by O'Keefe Media, they have a former CIA officer, a senior CIA officer, caught on hidden camera, bragging about withholding information from the president. With John Ratcliffe in charge, that is not going to be happening. It's just not. Rubio was also confirmed as Secretary of State. He's heading to Panama for his first official state visit. That's going to be an interesting conversation to have. Wish I could be a fly on the wall during that. And we have the Kash Patel hearing set. That's going to be next week on the 30th. Tulsi Gabbard also set for next week on the 30th. And there are rumors flying around that acting DNI, Stacey Dixon, is trying to derail Tulsi. Jack Posobiec says he's in contact with some that have had their clearances revoked, cooking up a new fake story about intel on Russia per senior officials. So get ready. The smear campaigns have only just begun, my friends. And next week, with these confirmation hearings of Tulsi and Kash Patel, it's just going to get spicier. We got a lot more to cover here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, including peace talks, Russia, Ukraine. You've heard the rumors, right? You've heard the rumors that Vladimir Putin would be open to a ceasefire if they would extradite Fauci. Those rumors aren't going away. Would you take that deal?
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Nashville police releasing new information about the Antioch High School shooter and what he did before that shooting. Initially, police believed that Solomon Henderson rode the bus to school, but they now say he was dropped off by his mom. Then he went to the bathroom to make a final post on social media, then made his way to the cafeteria, and that's where he fired his gun 10 times in less than 17 seconds, killing a 16-year-old girl and himself and grazing a third person. So where did he get that gun?
Metro police say they have found out that the gun that he was in possession of was purchased by someone in Arizona back in 2022, but was not reported as being stolen. As a result, they're working with the ATF and the FBI to learn more about its origins.
That's Channel 4's Jordan James. Crews out doing a count of the homeless in Davidson County overnight said they found a body. The person has not been identified. The volunteers go out each year for a census of the homeless required by the federal government. The ceasefire in Gaza appears to be holding, and another round of hostages will be released this weekend. ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge says 4 are expected to be released this weekend, with more in the coming weeks.
The initial 6-week ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, which saw 3 hostages freed last weekend, stipulates that another 30 hostages should be freed, including 2 Americans, Keith Siegel and Sagi Dechelchen.
Only 4 Israelis to be released, but Israel is releasing 180 Palestinians, including some serving long sentences for murder. Tens of thousands of people gathered on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. today. It's the National March for Life. Rally-goers gather under the base of the Washington Monument before marching to the Supreme Court. Now, on the eve of the march, President Trump announced that he would pardon pro-life activists convicted of praying outside abortion clinic entrances. Vice President J.D. Vance will be in attendance at today's march. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I talk a lot about Paul and his team at Paul Winkler, Inc., and my wife said to me, you got to give Michael a shout-out. I said, Michael? She said, yes, Michael. Michael needs a shout-out. Michael's been helping us a bunch over at Paul Winkler, and the entire team over there is absolutely fantastic. Do you have your investments and your retirement set up for success? Are you 100% sure? If not, you should call Paul and his team for a second opinion. They can really break down why you need to diversify, what you need to do to get yourself set up for financial freedom, and how to take the stress out of investing. They've done it for me and my wife. They can do it for you as well. Now, full disclosure, I get paid to do these ads. And even more full disclosure, it's Paul Winkler himself who says you got to tell people that. He wants this relationship to start off on honesty. And while I do get paid to do the ads, I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I trust these guys wholeheartedly. The staff doesn't work on commission. They work by educating you every step of the way. That's where their focus is. That's how they can help you. Set up a 15-minute phone call today, and you'll see exactly why these guys are completely set apart. Go to paulwinkler.com and set up your phone call. That's paulwinkler.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Get yourself a water filtration system or water softener. BetterWater.com. Those guys are the best. Huge fans of them. So if you need water purification, water softener, BetterWater.com. They'll get you hooked up. We got a lot to get to today on the show. Did you hear about Trump declassifying the JFK, RFK, MLK files yesterday? I'm sure you did. It was massive news.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed. Okay? Give that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
Everything will be revealed. Then he takes the pen that he signed it with and he hands it to the guy next to him and says, hey, make sure that gets to RFK Jr. Everybody was pretty excited about this. Everybody except one guy. One guy that I follow quite a bit, Mike Benz, who's a cybersecurity expert. He's had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, super smart guy. And he actually said on Real America's Voice last night that there are actually some big problems with the executive order that orders the declassification of the JFK and RFK and MLK files. And wet blanket incoming.
You're not wrong at all, actually. While I think it's very heartening that Trump made this a week one action, and in some respects it is promises made, promises kept, there is a lot of problems with the way that the executive order is actually worded. It provides 15 days for the acting Office of Director of National Intelligence to provide a plan to the president about the declassification, and then 45 days to review the documents for release. Now,
so that's, if you're keeping score at home, that's 60 days before we get anything, okay? 15 days for a plan, 45 days for declassification. So 2 months, 2 months. We're not getting any information today. We're not getting any information tomorrow. 2 months, okay? So that's step one. Just wet blanket, that's step one.
45 days to review the documents for release. Now, the problem with that is the current head of the ODNI, Stacey Dixon, is a Biden appointee who, frankly, has gone against Trump's stated policies on many, many occasions, including her making DEI the #2 priority item of the National Geospatial Agency when she was the head of it, who spent 20 years of her career in the CIA. And could very well, there are rumors currently that she may be working to stop or forestall the appointment of Tulsi Gabbard, who is Trump's pick to be the ODNI director. As the Senate Intelligence Committee ranking member, Mark Warner on the Democrat side is stalling Tulsi's confirmation hearing. 15 days is not nearly enough time to get Tulsi in charge of this plan.
No, he's right. He's right. And we mentioned that a minute ago when we were talking about confirmations. Tulsi's hearing is scheduled for next week on the 30th. Jack Posobiec also reporting that as well, that the acting DNI, Stacey Dixon, trying to derail her. That they're trying to cook up new fake stories about intel on Russia. So Mike Benz is like, are you trusting this person to set up the plan? Do you think that Tulsi's going to be confirmed in 15 days? I mean, not with the way that they've been slow walking all these confirmations, right? And I think slow walking is an understatement. So it's a bit of a wet blanket.
Now, this is very important because back in 2020, Tulsi Gabbard was spotted with a copy in her hand of a book called JFK and the Unspeakable, which is a meticulous dissertation on the CIA's role in the JFK assassination. There's actually sections going over reviewed documents declassified in the 1990s showing that the CIA actually had a counterintelligence operation around Lee Harvey Oswald where they were literally reading his physical mail before it came to his home in the months leading up to the assassination. So they knew everything that Lee Harvey Oswald was doing, and there's an open question whether or not they were working through back channels or simply allowed it to happen. but they were wiretapping his devices. They were reading his physical mail. And Tulsi Gabbard, the incoming head of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, knows it, having read that book, having it been spotted in her hands. But Stacey Dixon, who will be the one tasked with carrying out this executive order, I would be quite surprised if she took the same level of aggression. So this does seem to me set up to fail.
Set up to fail. Set up to fail. You know, it does seem like it's the carrot and the stick, right? It often does. Now, I'm hoping for the best, and only time will tell. But Mike Benz is a guy that I do respect and I trust quite a bit. Set up to fail. I know. Wet blanket. I apologize. I do. I really do. That being said, there's a lot of good happening in the Trump administration right now, and we'll find out what happens with JFK, RFK. When it comes to Trump being back at work, work is happening fast and furious. A Fox News report, Trump wants to meet with Putin, and Zelensky is saying that he's ready to make a deal for ending the war, which is good news, especially if you are to believe the numbers that President Trump has been throwing around of death. I mean, it could be 600 to 800,000 Ukrainians, 800,000 to 1 million Russians. Way too much death in this war. We need a peace deal.
That President Trump wants to meet immediately with Vladimir Putin, and that President Zelensky has told President Trump that he is ready to make a deal to end the war. So obviously a very big development on that front, and we'll play it out for you as soon as we get it. A number of other items crossing the wires and making news that we're going to bring you.
So they're reporting, listen, everybody's ready. Everybody's ready. The rumors online, though, have been fantastic. The rumors are that Putin will make the deal if they extradite Fauci for crimes against humanity. Now, I don't know if this is true. I tend to chuckle at it because would you make that deal?
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
Who wouldn't make that deal? Honestly, I might just add it in. You know, if I'm Donald Trump, Putin's like, I didn't ask. Well, I'll take him. Please. Please take him. We can't do anything here. He's been pardoned. But that's the rumor. That's the rumor. Trump says Ukraine is ready to make a peace deal. He's been talking about it a lot. Would you give Fauci? Would you give Fauci for the peace deal? Heck yeah, I would.
Damn good deal.
Really good deal. Rand Paul was talking about Fauci yesterday, and Rand Paul doesn't want to just stop at at a pardon for Fauci. There's been a lot of rumors about, not rumors, but reports of people losing their security clearances. John Bolton's one of them. Rand Paul wants Fauci's security clearance to be taken away as well. Fauci currently has 24-hour-a-day limo and security detail. 24-hour-a-day limo and security detail. Insane, right? Like that's a bit insane. Who's going after Fauci? Let's be honest. Rand Paul also took some time on Fox News yesterday to just dress down Anthony Fauci just viciously.
History's going to judge him harshly. By accepting that pardon through Supreme Court precedents, he's actually accepting his guilt, so he's accepting culpability. He made the decision to bypass and to avoid the safety committee, to fund this without adequate review of its safety. He made a terrible decision, but you have to realize it wasn't a one-off. For over a decade, Anthony Fauci had said that the risks of a pandemic occurring were worth the benefit of the knowledge. Most other scientists disagree with that. But the idea that we could do anything to any virus, and if it escapes, oh well, whoops, too bad, the knowledge is worth it, it's not. There are viruses that could kill 50% of humanity. We should not be trying to aerosolize Ebola or aerosolize the avian flu or make it easier to transmit the avian flu among humans. Right now, our biggest benefit is the avian flu can get into humans, but it's not going human to human. If you were to work in a lab with the avian flu, you can probably make the virus go to human with intended or intentional mutations. That would be a disaster, and anybody who wants to do that in the lab should never be funded by the taxpayer. So Anthony Fauci was wrong about all this, and he's going to be judged harshly by history.
Yeah, he will be. And I wish he would be judged harshly by a jury of 12, But, Joe Biden gave him that preemptive pardon dating all the way back to 2014 when they put that ban on gain-of-function research, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be judged by a jury of 12. Well, we'll keep you updated on that. But peace in Ukraine and Russia. Trump, on the record yesterday, Zelensky is ready to negotiate a deal.
You said that Ukraine's ready to make a deal. Did President Zelensky tell you that?
Yeah, sure. He's ready to negotiate a deal. He'd like to stop. He's somebody that lost a lot of soldiers, and so did Russia. Lost a lot. Russia lost more soldiers. They lost 800,000 soldiers. Would you say that's a lot? I'd say it's a lot.
Yeah, it's devastating. Too many souls lost for a war that should have never started, and a war that wouldn't have started if Donald Trump had been president in 2020. Had they not rigged and stole that election, that war would have never kicked off. It just wouldn't have. And Trump is in office now. He hasn't even been in office for a week, and he's negotiating peace with Russia and Ukraine. We have the ceasefire with Israel and Hamas. And listen, he's doing a damn good job. And Trump isn't just aiming for peace. He wants to go a step further. This was in the second part of the interview with Hannity, talking about right before he was, had the election stolen from him in 2020, he was actually dealing with Putin about denuclearization.
I was dealing at the very end, I was dealing with Putin about the denuclearization of Russia and the United States. And then we were going to bring China along on that one because they have much less than we do. China, believe it or not, is much less. They will have an equal amount in 5 years, 6 years. They're trying to get there, unfortunately. But right now they have much less in terms of nuclear. I was very close to having a deal. I would have made a deal with Putin on that denuclearization. It's very dangerous and very expensive, okay, both. And that would have been great, but we had a bad election that interrupted us, and that's why I'm here now.
Yeah, that's right. That's why he's here now. And just put that in context, right? Over the last 4 years, the last 2 years especially, we've been the closest to nuclear conflict than we'd ever been, ever. Yet this unhinged lunatic, the way the left paints Donald Trump, had them close to denuclearization. The president of peace is back, and it's peace through strength. Donald Trump is putting that on full display. He actually was at the World Economic Forum in Davos virtually yesterday, and he put them on notice. We'll bring you the highlights from the World Economic Forum and Donald Trump when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in middle and west Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. They'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
The safety system failed. What else we've learned about the shooting at Antioch High School, and something new about those deportation flights that took off today. We've got those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Joan, there's something magical about hearing you say the deportation flights that took off today. I'm not going to lie.
I thought you'd like that.
I did. It's 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, betterwater.com. Some of those flights will be going over the Gulf of America. Rubio's taking a flight over the Gulf of America, too, heading to Panama. First state visit. Buffalo and Mount Juliet wants to talk about the Panama Canal. What's up, man?
Got a bunch of family in Panama. Let me tell you, they're all for Trump taking the canal back. They're so sick of the Panamanian nepotism. You know, when they gave that back, there was 2,000 houses that were up, to be filled when the United States people left. Well, they all went to the richest families in Panama. There's like 7 really rich families, and all their family members got all those houses. So the regular people in Panama, they're not gonna give a hoot about if United States takes the canal back. They're gonna be all for it because what the heck? I mean, it's such a corrupt government. You know, the rich get all the money, and the regular old people that farm and sell ice cream, and, you know, those people don't get squat from the government. And the government just keeps bending them over time after time. I mean, the people are sick of it.
Yeah, well, send a message back home. Rubio is heading there today. I appreciate the call. He's flying over the Gulf of America. Liberation incoming for the Panama Canal. Speaking of Gulf of America, did you hear Britain's Prime Minister, Keir Starmer? He says that Britain will not recognize President Trump's order renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Yeah, he's not gonna. They're not gonna play ball. So I don't know why he thinks we care. I think we stopped caring about what Britain says right around 1776.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
That was right around
when
we stopped worrying about. And I would just put them on notice. We'll rename you next. West Pakistan has a nice ring to it. I'm just saying.
It's pretty good.
It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Boy, we warmed right up to 28 degrees now. We're headed up to 37 later, more in the forecast to come. The safety system failed. Investigators say that the Omni Alert weapons detection system installed at Antioch High School did not detect Solomon Henderson's weapon when he pulled it out to kill a 16-year-old student in the cafeteria this week. And there were no metal detectors either, something that former school board member Fran Bush says is inexcusable.
Let me tell you something. We had $400 million of ESSER funds, and that's the funding that came down from the federal government during COVID. We had an opportunity at that time, looking at those funds, that safety equipment could be an option of purchasing to protect our schools.
Now, the equipment wasn't purchased, she says, because School Superintendent Adrian Battle refused it. You can hear the entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis Show podcast. Bridgestone Americas is closing down its Laverne facility over the summer, axing 700 jobs in the process. It's part of a larger plan to make the company more competitive. The truck and bus radial tire plant in Laverne will close July 31st. Nashville's Opryland is getting a facelift and expansion. The resort is spending $224 million to create what they claim will be the largest non-gaming hotel by exhibit and meeting space in an effort to attract new corporate groups to Nashville. Deportation flights have begun as illegal aliens are being shipped out of the country for the first time in years.
It's the first time in recent memory that the military has been directly involved in deportations. U.S. officials confirm that C-17s carrying dozens of Guatemalan nationals left military airfields in Arizona and Texas. The White House posted pictures of migrants lining up to board the cargo jets. The president this week signed orders assigning U.S. Northern Command a new mission to seal the border. But local officials in border towns say illegal crossings have ebbed since the Biden administration moved to curb access to asylum last spring.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy there. A man's been arrested after jumping the fence at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. 32-year-old Bijan Arceo is a former real estate agent from Colorado. He was seen climbing over the wall, and he was picked up by U.S. Secret Service agents inside the resort. He's in jail on $100,000 bail. That's the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. BetterWater.com if you need a water purification system or water softener. Those guys are the best. BetterWater.com. So Donald Trump was at the World Economic Forum virtually yesterday. He appeared virtually to those globalists in Davos. And, he put everybody on notice. He did. He did. Talking about the golden age of America has just begun.
Much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office, and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all seven, every one of them, all seven swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years. And some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do.
It's been a revolution in common sense, says Donald Trump. Now, as he appears to the crowd in Davos virtually, internet sleuths picked up on this. I picked up on this as well. There seems to be something weird in the background, a little off. You got the presidential seal behind him, right? And normally the eagle head faces left towards the olive branch, but the seal behind Donald Trump had the head facing right towards the arrows, which, a quick Google search will tell you that the arrows in the left talon, that symbolizes war. And that's what the eagle head was looking at. So I don't know. It might be something small and you're looking too much into things and, you're getting fringy and QAnon-y. But he put these guys on notice. He absolutely did. And he says things are changing. And he had a message to every business person and every business in the world. America's back open. And things are changing rapidly.
To eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff.
I love it. I love that he's putting everybody on notice. The World Economic Forum, all these globalists, all these business leaders in attendance. And he's like, hey, you know what? If you choose not to, well, then you face the repercussions. If you don't want to make it in America, well, then you're going to face American tariffs. Could you imagine Joe Biden doing anything like that? No, of course not. Of course you couldn't. And you know what? The business acumen of Donald Trump is already bringing tons of investment, trillions of dollars to this country, which we've been covering nonstop. And it's only been 4 full days. Unreal. He actually talked about how Saudi Arabia is once again investing in America. And he also called on the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to bring down the cost of oil.
Also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia will be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love.
So he thanks him and he calls him out at the exact same time.
By them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. All over the progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the world. I think a lot of things are happening to a lot of countries. They say that there's light shining all over the world since the election, and even countries that we aren't particularly friendly with are happy because they understand what there is a future and how great the future will be. Under our leadership, America is back and open for business. And
under our leadership, America is back and open for business. This is the message that's being delivered to the world by Donald Trump. This is him joining the World Economic Forum live in Davos, virtually, and he's sending a message. And he has a message to Saudi Arabia. Hey, thanks so much. You could do more. Hey, businesses, make your product wherever you want, but if it's not in America, you're going to face a tariff. I love the double-edged sword of Donald Trump. I do. He can compliment you and then threaten you in the same sentence. It's a beautiful thing to see. But he's talking about how everything has changed in the last week. We no longer have weak and ineffective leadership. We actually have a businessman back in the office, and that's going to have positive ripple effects for our nation for years to come.
That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term.
He's right. He's right. These guys are going full bore. Pedal to the metal. Things have changed in America. And you know what? The things that he's saying during this speech, it doesn't sound too radical to us, but make no mistake about it. He's sending a message to all of those globalists in Davos. All of them. All of those business leaders received the message loud and clear. And he said some things that it may not seem radical to you, but it definitely rubbed people in Davos the wrong way.
And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female.
That's a radical statement in Europe. Make no mistake about it. You post that on Facebook in England and you get a knock on the door from Keir Starmer's stormtroopers.
And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely.
That's a radical statement for these Europeans to hear. It wasn't done there. He talked about stopping government censorship as well, which again, you know, if like I said a moment ago, you say that there are only two genders on Facebook in many parts of Europe and you get a knock on the door, he says, listen, free speech is back in the United States.
In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
He's right. And that's going to have ripple effects for Europe as well. It will. He also took the opportunity to call out Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan to his face because Bank of America has a long history of deplatforming conservatives, debanking conservatives.
And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives because what you're doing is wrong.
I love that he called him out for that. Now, they had to release a bunch of statements denying those claims. Bank of America released a statement yesterday. They posted on their socials. We serve more than 70 million clients. We welcome conservatives and have no political litmus test. It's like that's horse crap. It's horse crap. Virginia Attorney General Jason Myers last year went at Bank of America over the canceling of accounts of Christian ministry groups. He also criticized Bank of America for going after firearm manufacturers and fossil fuel energy companies and firms contracted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That was just last year. Bank of America was also under fire 4 years ago from Republicans after it handed over consumer information to the FBI and the Treasury Department as a probe into the January 6 riots. Bank of America says, no. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen at all. But it does. It does. And you can look at what happened in Canada with the debanking of the trucker convoy protests. You can look, even in America, Barron suffered alleged bias from one unnamed U.S. lender who refused to open an account for him after the end of the first administration. And that's straight out of Melania Trump's new book. Yes, this stuff happens all the time. All the time. It is 10:18 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and our friend to the north, Gord, is on the line, and he wants to talk about the Elon Musk salute. What Elon Musk salute are you talking about, Gord?
Oh, that's funny, Chris. You're starting off with a bang this morning. You are one of the funniest guys I know, that's for sure. Anything else? Any other comedy you want to open up with before we get into it, or?
Well, I think that it always tickles me pink when the left takes a break from their rampant anti-Semitism to call somebody a Nazi.
Do you say stuff like tickles me pink? Do you talk that way around your friends and stuff?
Just did, Gordon.
Very cool stuff, brother. Very cool. So no, I'm be honest with you. I think I actually have a big issue with left-wing people who love to just say everyone's a Nazi. Do you know what I mean? I really see that. I see that from even people that I know and respect. I see that they love to just paint everyone with that brush. It's an easy thing to do. You know what I mean? To just sort of paint everyone that way. And I really reject that notion. I genuinely do. I promise you, I genuinely do. But man, I'm also have two eyes, and I also can see when a gentleman does a very clear-cut Nazi salute. So I guess my question would be, do you feel like this guy, a senior official in the Trump administration, did a Nazi salute? Or do you think that the senior official of the Trump administration is too stupid and disconnected from reality to recognize that he was doing that when he did it? And would you say that either of those two things is particularly good for the future of America, sir?
Well, I'll tell you this. Okay, first of all, he's an autistic man that got excited and said, "My heart goes out to you."
Congratulations.
Also,
Exactly.
listen. I could take clips out of context of Tim Walz on the campaign trail doing a hand gesture similarly. Yet I don't think Tim Walz is a Nazi.
You can take it. You can take it. It's all.
I don't think Tim Walz is a Nazi, and I won't paint him that way. I could pull up clips of Obama doing it. I could pull up clips of anybody. He waved at the crowd. You want to call it a Nazi salute? It shows. Listen, it shows how little. It shows how little ammo you guys have left when that's what you're hanging on. You take a break from interrupting everybody's speeches to yell "Free Palestine." You take a break from defending Hamas to call Elon Musk a Nazi. It's the irony is quite hilarious.
The irony. So, do you think that that's ironic?
I think it's ironic when the radical elements of the left are some of the most anti-Semitic that we've seen in years and years and years, yet you're silent about that. Elon Musk waves.
Elon Musk anti-Semitism. It's a lazy argument that doesn't really hold any water around the world.
You're right. You're right. You know, when they're blocking Jewish students from going into class at universities all over the country, it's a lazy. You're right. So lazy. Elon Musk waves at the crowd, and he's a Nazi. He's a Nazi. Is he a Nazi, Gord? He's a Nazi.
I don't think he's a Nazi. No, I don't think he's a Nazi.
You're the one that called in to talk about his salute.
Yes. So you understand nuance of conversation? I think maybe not. No. So what I'm saying is I don't think he's a Nazi. No, I don't believe he is. But I believe that there is something to be gained from him and his administration doing what's known as dog whistling to Nazis.
Let me make this perfectly clear.
Yeah, because you know I'm making a point here, and you don't want me
I
to
can
make
counter
it,
your point so quickly. He won the popular vote. He doesn't have to dog whistle to anybody. He got 77 million Americans. He got libertarians. He got youth vote. He got black vote. He doesn't need to dog whistle to Nazis. Go find me a Nazi that's excited about this. You sound like a local reporter, Phil Williams here.
Did you just say go find me a Nazi that's excited about this?
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, go online and look for 1 second, Chris. You will find hundreds of white supremacist groups, hundreds of white supremacists who are openly talking about how excited they are that they saw this man do this at the inauguration. You are being willfully
hundreds
ignorant.
of people in a nation of 300 million. Is that's what we're going to hang on? The man got 77 million votes, and you're focused on a fringe group of 100. You know what? For the record, those same groups called Donald Trump Zion Dawn because of his support for Israel. Those exact same groups lambaste Trump on the internet for his support of Israel. Like, so you're barking up the wrong tree, man. It doesn't make any sense. Your argument holds no weight. You want to take a clip out of context and try and hit me with a gotcha? You don't have anything. You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing in this conversation.
Why is it a gotcha? I don't understand. I just think a lot of people saw it as being a Nazi salute. And I think that if you're just going to say it was a simple wave and the same as what you can find Tim Walz doing and Hillary Clinton, I think you're being a little bit willfully ignorant there, Chris. I really do. And I understand. I'm not saying I think Elon Musk is a Nazi, and I never said that.
You're saying he's dog whistling to Nazis.
Yeah, I think
and my argument is that for the 100 actual white supremacists in the country, we don't need them. We've never invited them along. We don't like them.
Can I ask a question to your chat? What's going on with them? Why is there a little bit of projection going on? A lot of them are saying I need therapy. First off, I go weekly to therapy. You know,
it's funny. It's funny. I'm not even watching the YouTube chat, but I tend to agree. I appreciate the call, Gord. It's 1024 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the
Guaranteed
middle
offer
of
is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
why mental health issues were overlooked before the shooting at Antioch High School. Also, President Trump is on the ground in Western North Carolina right now. We'll bring you his remarks. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 10:28 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, betterwater.com. Water filtration systems, water softeners, you need them, betterwater.com. Pastor John Amanchukwu is going to be joining the show when we return after Joan Jones's newscast. I'm really excited to talk to Pastor John, getting his insight on the dismantling of DEI at the federal level. Plus, we'll get a recap from what happened after the last time he was in town. If you remember, Pastor John went to the Murfreesboro City School Board meeting to read them a book that's in their library. They were very uncomfortable with it because the book, it was all about transgenderism and was for 4 to 8-year-olds. Well, Pastor John read the book to them, and since Murfreesboro City Schools have pulled the book from the library, it's a huge win for conservatives, and a big thank you to Pastor John. He's actually going to be speaking this weekend at World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro on Saturday and Sunday. And he's going to join the show next, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Investigators have pored over the long online manifesto left behind by the Antioch High School shooter, saying that he appeared to be a very troubled teenager who espoused anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim ideas. He also glorified school shooters of the past. Former Metro Nashville School Board member Fran Bush says too many kids with mental health issues have slipped through the cracks.
When I was on the board, we had a huge shortage of social workers in our schools. And this was an opportunity, if we were fully staffed, that we're able to identify the mental health of our students. And unfortunately, it slipped through the cracks.
She believes the absence of metal detectors contributed to the carnage as well. You can hear the full discussion with Fran Bush on the Dan Manda Show podcast. A vacant South Nashville home destroyed by fire in the overnight hours. The fire breaking out at a home on the corner of Garwood Drive and Sturton Road. It was spotted by a rideshare driver who called 911. Now, fire officials say this fire was located in the basement and it spread quickly, causing a portion of the house to collapse. The cause is still under investigation, but fire officials point to signs that this was a case of arson. President Trump and First Lady Melania on the ground in Fletcher, Western North Carolina, where they're touring the devastation that's still evident 122 days after Hurricane Helene. In remarks to the media, Trump says he's looking to move disaster recovery away from FEMA.
So we're going to be doing something on FEMA that I think most people agree. I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half, and you're going to get a lot quicker response.
The president saying for now, the federal government will work to restore things on the ground in Western North Carolina. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We have this book that's in Bradley Academy, okay? It feels good to be yourself. It's a book about gender identity. Some people are boys, some people are girls, some people are both, neither or somewhere in between. This book is for kids ages 4 through 8, and that is a lie. This book talks about transgenderism. What 4-year-old can spell the word transgender? Then it talks about being non-binary. If we're going to do what's best for children in this district, it's imperative that we don't put this kind of content in front of children. We want to ban books that seek to pervert the hearts and the minds of children. And why wear red and green and celebrate Christmas if you're not going to protect what Christ stands for? Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, but let's get back to protecting the children, because if we don't, you're celebrating this month in the wrong vein. Officer Hill, Officer Wood, Officer Hay, Officer McAdams, thank you so much, but please do something about the filth that's being taught to our children. God bless you.
That was the last time Pastor John Amachukwu was in Murfreesboro. He was speaking at the Murfreesboro City School Board meeting about a book called It Feels Good to Be Yourself. 48-year-olds, no big deal, right? Yeah. Pastor John's actually going to be in Murfreesboro again Saturday night, 6 p.m., Sunday, 9:30 a.m., World Outreach Church, preaching. And we're lucky to have him on the show, which is brought to you by Better Water LLC, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pastor John, my friend, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on your show again.
Man, I'm excited to talk to you. You know, the last time you were here, you were in studio, and then a couple weeks after you went to that city school board meeting, they pulled the book from the library, so thank you, sir. I appreciate what you do for the community.
Thank you. That means a lot. You know, I'm elated to hear that common sense has finally prevailed in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yes,
but the
sir.
work is not over. We need to clean up every bookshelf. We need to clean up every library. We need to go through the curriculum and make sure that information and content that seeks to mentally rape our children is removed speedily.
Yeah, and it seems like we're heading in that direction. You know, how do you feel about the new changes that are coming to the Department of Education under Donald Trump? Do you feel encouraged? Are you still a little bit nervous? Where are you at on that?
I'm confident about it. You know, first and foremost, we should have never been in this mess in the first place. Let's just start there.
Yep.
The Obama-Biden administration, they started hiring activist superintendents, activist board members, activist teachers, activist guidance counselors, and they slowly but surely tried to assault the morality of our children and put them on the slippery slope of perversion. The reality is, Chris, and you know this as well, life is hard enough apart from someone trying to dangle sinful practices and ideologies before you.
Yep.
A person has to mature and grow. And what we are hearing from President Donald J. Trump, you know, President number 45 and 47, thank God for that.
Amen.
What we're hearing from him right now is what is called tone from the top. Tone from the top. He made it clear through executive order that the federal government will only recognize two genders, male and female. Do you understand the level of venom that those who are on the left are experiencing right now because of that executive order?
Yeah, and I made the comment earlier. He said it at the World Economic Forum virtually to Davos yesterday, and it's like, if you say that in Europe on Facebook, you get a knock on the door from the stormtroopers.
It's so true.
It's crazy. But that's not all he's doing. He's dismantling DEI at the federal level, and I'd love to get your perspective on that. Do you like what the changes are?
Yes, I do. I enjoy those changes. You know, for number one, the changes that he's making with the executive order on the genders, but also with the changes that are coming with DEI. DEI is what I call the ultimate blackface. On face value, it purports that it seeks to right the wrongs that have been committed towards blacks and brown people in this country. But that's on face value. It's a facade, Chris. Really what's behind DEI is a perpetual, ongoing communistic plan to strip America of meritocracy and to provide unfettered access for activists who want to push trans zealot policies. That's what it is. And so I call DEI the ultimate blackface, but it's also a false triune idol. It mimics the Trinity. In the Trinity, you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But when it comes to DEI, you have diversity, equity, and inclusion. When it comes to the Trinity, God longs for private worship that will extend out into our corporate worship in the marketplace. But when it comes to DEI, they can care less about private worship. They just want you to bow and worship their sacred cow in public. Now, if you dare to disagree with their sacred cow and their ideologies and diversity, equity, and inclusion, then you're therefore a bigot, a hate mongerer. You're like me, a black man who's labeled as a white supremacist. Go figure, right?
It's insane. It's insane. And it seems like they're trying to replace religion with this ideology.
true, and I can't move away from it. In my new documentary that everyone can watch at 22wordsfilm.com, 22wordsfilm.com, I addressed the fact that when we removed school-sponsored prayer from the public school system in 1962 after the Ingle v. Vitale court case in Hyde Park, New York, that the American education system went from prayer to porn, from prayer to transgenderism, from prayer to now having metal detectors and school resource officers at school, from prayer to now diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a religion. That is the God that hovers over the public school system. And I strongly feel that after President Trump moves to dissolve the Department of Education, that we're still going to have our hands full with a major issue because it's going to go back to the states in the same manner that Roe v. Wade has.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's incumbent upon every parent to keep their ear to the ground and to keep their finger on the pulse of what is being taught to their children. God did not give children over to the state. Children are on loan to their parents, and it's incumbent upon them to do what's best to put the right things before their eyes and their ears.
Yeah, and it's a battle of hearts and minds. We had a school shooting just a couple days ago, again in Antioch, Tennessee, and it's heartbreaking. But I look at this kid and the problems that he had, and you understand that there's a huge hole where the Lord should be.
Yes.
And it seems like you see this time and time again, but nobody wants to address that part of the conversation.
Oh, you're so right. Romans chapter 13, verses 12 through 14 tells us in the New King James Version, it says that the night is far spent, the day is at hand. Therefore, let us cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk properly as in the day, not in revelry and drunkenness, not in lewdness and lust, not in strife and envy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill its lust. Because of the calloused heart that our nation has so long propagated and supported, that I'm not shocked that when you have a culture that says you can abort a baby all the way up to 9 months, that same child who escapes the RU486 pill that kills babies in the womb, I'm not shocked that same child who knows that he's hated from the womb takes it upon himself to go take lives at schools. See, we have a placement issue. We think that life is sacred and most precious outside of the womb. But no, life is sacred and precious in the womb. And see, when you devalue life in the womb, you devalue life everywhere. Consider the past election. They spent over $1 billion trying to convince the American people that people should have the right to unalive a child as early as the age of 20 weeks. As early as 20 weeks, as early as 25 weeks, 30 weeks, and as late as 9 months. Do you know what kind of coldness that places into the hearts of our children as we campaign for these wicked ideologies? Do we not understand the direct impact that is causing to kids around this country?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But and then the leftists, they only use it when it's convenient. The New York Times has an article where they're peddling abortion, and it says, "Is a fetus a person? Anti-abortion strategy says yes." But when they talk about a woman coming into this country illegally, undocumented woman asks, "Will my unborn child be a citizen?" It's wild to me that they use it when it's advantageous,
Yes, they do. And we know today that the structure that the Obama-Biden administration created, where it was America last and criminal, illegal alien first, right?
Yep.
That there has become a disdain towards the American flag, our founding fathers, and the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and meritocracy. There's a disdain towards that. There's also a disdain towards the patriarchy, Chris.
Yep.
The most hated male in America today is the white straight male.
Yep.
Go figure. In California, you have a group of, and I say this respectfully, lesbians who sought to redirect and restructure the fire department. Until you have a lesbian mayor, Karen Bass, you have 2 lesbian fire department chiefs who want to bring on DEI and level the playing field because, you know, everything a man can do, a woman can do equally good or better. And now they have backed themselves into a corner where they're trying to hire more and more women and or transgenders and or LGBTQ people to fight fires. And now they have a big mess on their hand. They cut $17.6 million from their budget.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't allow water to flow in from the Pacific. They want it to flow out to protect the fish called a smelt. And President Trump told them repeatedly to sweep the floor of the forest, but Gavin Newsom wouldn't do it. And so now they have a big mess on their hand, all because they hated the fact that 80.7% of firefighters nationally are white men. You know, I don't have a problem with that, you know. Actually, if my son wanted to be a firefighter, I have 2 boys rather, if my sons wanted to be a firefighter, I'd say, okay, sounds good. I think you're just having a saga of imagination. I would try to talk them out of being a firefighter because it's such a dangerous role.
Yep.
But how dare we condemn those who seek to still walk in that dangerous role and fulfill that responsibility? We need firefighters. Yep. And I don't care, Chris, if 80.7% of these firefighters are white men. You know what? Let's congratulate them. Let's celebrate them. Let's salute them. How about this? Let's pay them more money. Let's do that. Let's stop putting the money into the pockets of criminal, illegal aliens. Let's pay our firefighters more money.
Amen.
But instead, we don't want to do that nationally. We want to push DEI, and DEI has destroyed our country.
We're talking with Pastor John Amachukwu, who is going to be live at Murfreesboro's World Outreach Church Saturday night at 6 o'clock, Sunday morning at 9:30. Where are you thinking the conversation is going to go in church this weekend?
Chris, I want to tell you the truth, my friend. Nothing is off limits.
It never is with you, Pastor John.
I plan on speaking to anything and everything, whatever the Holy Spirit puts on my heart is going to come from the tip of my tongue, my friend. I'm coming with both barrels blazing. I'm not afraid of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm going to preach the word of God. Whatever God gives me to say, whatever He gives me to share, I will address it. But I do believe that now more than ever, pastors need to talk about cultural issues from a biblical viewpoint, and that's what I plan on doing.
Why do you think so many pastors out there are afraid to touch on those issues?
Revelation 21, verse 8 gives us, I believe, 8 reasons why people will be thrown into the lake of fire. And number 1, Chris, is for being a coward. That's why. It's the longing to be liked. It's the longing to be supported and for people to agree with what you're saying. So therefore, people don't want to take hard positions because they don't want to be bludgeoned. They don't want to be castigated. They don't want to have their name called on the carpet and have their board call them into a meeting and tell them what they should and should not say. That is the issue, cowardice. That's the problem.
Well, I know that that is not going to be an issue this weekend. Pastor John Amachukwu, again, you're going to be live at World Outreach Church Saturday evening, 6 o'clock, Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. I cannot wait to see you there, man. Really looking forward to it. And your documentary, 22 Words, can you tell us where we can find that again?
Yes, go to 22wordsfilm.com. That's the number 22wordsfilm.com. Go there and support my efforts. And if you want to follow me and find out more content that I'm discussing and talking about nationally, you can go to my YouTube channel at John Amachukwu. And the handle for that is at REVWU Truth. That's Rev Woo Truth. Thank you so much for your support.
Hey, I appreciate you, John. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Pastor John Amachukwu on the hotline. It's 10:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. And listen, if you got cracks in your foundation, if you got water in your crawl space, wet basement walls, These are massive red flags. You need to call the best. You need to call the experts at United Structural Systems. They've been doing this work since 1994, and they have over 30,000 satisfied customers. If you have waterproofing issues, you need to get it handled. Because if you don't, it's going to get worse. That could turn into mold. It could turn into wood rot. It could really wreck a lot of things in your home. But when you call the experts at USS, you're not going to get a sales guy working on a quota. You're going to get somebody that's going to tell you the honest truth. And they'll tell you if it's nothing. They'll tell you if it's something small. They'll tell you if it's something big that needs to be fixed right away. They'll make a custom solution for your home, and they won't leave until the job is done and you're satisfied. And when they do leave, they leave behind a warranty that is good for life. Even if you leave the home, the warranty can stay. 615-488-7855 is the number to call. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, online at USSTN.com.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, President Trump is in North Carolina at a Hurricane Helene recovery briefing. He says he is considering signing an executive order to get rid of FEMA.
And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I like, frankly, the concept when North Carolina gets hit, the governor takes care of it. When Florida gets hit, the governor takes care of it, meaning the state takes care of it. To have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me.
Trump's stop in North Carolina comes ahead of his trip to California to tour the wildfire damage and talk about what he plans to do for the victims there. Meanwhile, hang around in this cast. I'll let you hear an exchange between Governor Bill Lee and Trump there in North Carolina. Deportation flights have begun. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt sharing photos this morning online of illegal immigrants being boarded onto airplanes, calling it a, quote, strong message. On Thursday, ICE arrested 538 illegals, 4 members of the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang, and multiple people who had been convicted of sex crimes against children. Here in Nashville, officials say there was a series of failures before the shooting at Antioch High School.
The safety system failed. Investigators say the Omni Alert weapons detection system installed at Antioch High School did not detect Solomon Henderson's weapon when he pulled it out to kill a 16-year-old student in the cafeteria this week. And there were no metal detectors either. It's something that former school board member Fran Bush says is inexcusable.
Let me tell you something. We had $400 million of ESSER funds, and that's the funding that came down from the federal government during COVID. We had an opportunity at that time, looking at those funds, that safety equipment could be an option of purchasing to protect our schools.
But that equipment wasn't purchased, she says, because School Superintendent Adrienne Battle believed they produced what she calls unintended consequences. Bush is calling for Battle to step down. You can hear the entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis Show podcast. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Bridgestone Americas to close down its Laverne facility this summer, axing 700 jobs in the process. Part of a larger plan to make the company more competitive. The truck and bus radial tire plant in Laverne closes July 31st. Back to President Trump in North Carolina. Here's part of his exchange after acknowledging Governor Bill Lee in attendance.
Good job. That's nice that you came. And so you call it right, you're right over the ridge, right, Tennessee?
Over the ridge, yes.
I like Tennessee, too. Let's see, where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina, it was Tennessee.
There's one of the counties in this disaster that had 88% for you. So
88%, yeah. No, it's the people are just incredible people.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filter systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Thanks again to my friend Pastor John Amachukwu for joining the show just a moment ago. Love that guy. He's going to be at World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro this weekend, 6 o'clock Saturday night, 9:30 a.m. Sunday morning. You don't want to miss it. Free to attend. Free to attend. Invite your friends. I'm going to be there Sunday morning. Can't wait. Cannot wait, honestly. I've seen John preach a few times because a lot of times at the Turning Point events that we'll do, they'll have Pastor John come in on Sunday mornings and do his thing, and he's a firecracker, man. I love it. I love it. So if you want to come, come on. Let's go. Donald Trump is on the ground in North Carolina right now. He just wrapped up giving some comments. Some of the comments are going to send the left into a bit of a tizzy. He said he was going to sign an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, maybe even getting rid of it. And when you hear from people in North Carolina, I think that this is going to be welcomed. The lack of help from FEMA, the lack of communication, the poor communication, the miscommunication, the hey, you can stay in a hotel for 24 more hours. Hey, actually, it's going to be 3 months. Actually, nobody told us you have to leave the hotel. That stuff has been happening nonstop. It has been far too long for the people on the ground in North Carolina to not be receiving help. So when Trump says, hey, FEMA, get ready because we're changing things, I think a lot of American citizens are going to hear that and say, yeah, about time.
Really? No. I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have a problem like this, I think you want to go and, whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA. And then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area. They've never been to the area, and they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster.
Yeah, and I think a disaster is like an understatement. I think a disaster is awful. But things have started to change. Things have started to change a little bit in North Carolina. And it's funny. It's the Trump effect. It seems like they've changed as soon as Donald Trump got into office. I saw this video going around the internet. This was yesterday, where a Hurricane Helene survivor was talking about how she was just moved into an apartment. And one of the reporters there, Matt Van Swole, he's calling this the Trump effect 100%.
When I found out that I was actually going to be able to get an apartment, I was just like relieved. And it didn't really hit in until I walked in here and saw a kitchen table and a bed. And I was like, oh my God, you guys got me cups. I mean, it just had just enough to where I could bring in my own things. And then I started crying when I saw the bed because it's just very comforting. I'm like, oh, I get to stay here for a little while. So that was nice. And then we did hugs with the FEMA guys and Gordon, who helped me get in here. And then the dogs somehow knew that this was where we were going to be for a minute and had a band of a time. And I just sat in here and was just like, yeah, I'm okay.
That story is heartwarming, but it just feels like it's a bit late. You have people freezing to death in tents. You have people living in trailers, and it's like, I'm sorry, I thought this was America. And we have billions and billions of dollars for Ukraine and illegal aliens and the like. But these people in North Carolina have been dealing with so much devastation for far too long. Donald Trump saying we're going to fundamentally reform and overhaul FEMA. I feel like that's going to be a welcome executive order for a lot of people in Western North Carolina. He wasn't just talking about North Carolina while he's on the ground there. See, we now have a president that can walk and chew gum at the exact same time. We have a president who isn't going to have the press ushered out of the room the minute he finishes his 2-minute prepared statement. So they asked him a lot of questions. They were also talking about disaster aid for Los Angeles.
Standard. This has been very slow, and we're gonna make up for lost time.
No conditions. You're going to push for aid
just
well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water. If they released the water, they wouldn't have had a problem. If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago.
Yep.
If they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem that you had. You might not have even had a fire.
And he's talking about those statements that we've played time and time again from Trump in 2018 when they were dealing with the wildfires. Then he said, we got to clean up the forest floor. We got to get your water flowing. And everybody, yes, we do. And then they did nothing. Trump also commented on Anthony Fauci. Fauci's had his security taken away. You know that, right? Like all of his security's gone now. He had 24-hour-a-day limo service and security. Somebody asked him about Fauci losing his security service.
The security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, and I'm wondering if you have any comment on that.
About what?
The security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think, when you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off. And, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off other people, too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you worked for government.
Ask for it to be taken off, sir?
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something would have happened to, say, Dr. Fauci
No.
or John Bolton?
No.
I love that. Would you feel personally responsible if something happened to Fauci or John Bolton? John Bolton's another guy he took security clearance off of. He said no. No, I wouldn't.
They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too.
I love this guy. I love that he can just take any question, and it doesn't have to be coordinated. He doesn't have a note card with the reporter's name and the reporter's picture. It's not all pre-planned and laid out. It's just whatever they throw at him, he can deal with. Also, the rumors of Anthony Fauci being instrumental in the peace deal for Russia not going away. The rumors online are that Russia would entertain a ceasefire deal and peace negotiations if they extradited Fauci for crimes against humanity.
I'll make that deal. How about you bitch? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
Yeah, we'd all make that deal. Definitely. Do you feel personally responsible if something was to happen to Anthony Fauci or John Bolton? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. John Brennan. So John Bolton lost his security. Anthony Fauci lost his security. John Bolton also lost his security clearance. And John Brennan lost his security clearance. They're both hitting the news circuits, John Bolton and John Brennan, just absolutely butthurt about the security clearance losses. And then John Brennan, he was instrumental in the spies who lied, who had all those 51 intelligence agents had their security clearance revoked. And John Brennan went on MSNBC to defend that report, that it has all the earmarks of Russian disinformation.
Yeah, he said in 2018 that he was going to take my security clearance. My security clearances were never taken at that time. And the only reason why I still had a security clearance, as I have for the past number of years since I left government service, was for the benefit of the government, so that if the CIA or another government agency wanted to call me in to discuss a classified matter, they could do that. And so it was really for the government's benefit. It would facilitate those classified discussions with myself, as well as with former directors, as well as other former members of the intelligence community that had those clearances. So,
yeah, it was for your benefit why I had a security clearance. The American people's benefit, the guy that lied to the American public in the lead up to the 2020 election.
Again, yesterday's EO was bizarre, among many of the bizarre executive orders that he had signed out. And as you point out, he misrepresented the facts in that executive order, because it said that we had suggested that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. No, we said it was for the hallmarks of Russian information operations, including the dumping of accurate information, which is what we said in that letter. So again, this was just, his effort to try to get back at those individuals who.
Yeah, do you hear the sliminess in this guy's voice? He's saying, oh, he took it away because we said it was a Russian disinfo operation. But we didn't say that. We didn't say that. We said it had the hallmarks of a Russian disinfo operation. You understand that they do this on purpose, right? Like, it's the devil is in the details, and they carefully word things so that way they can lie to the American people. But the intent was always to discredit the laptop, right? 100%. And he's just a slimy weasel, and I'm glad he's gone. John Bolton was also very upset that he lost his security clearance and security. And Bolton, they actually woke him up at like 12 o'clock midnight to let him know, hey, you only have security for about 12 more hours.
Why did you remove John Bolton's security clearance, sir?
Because I think that was enough time. It's we take a job. You take a job. You want to do a job. We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well because every time people saw me come into a meeting with John Bolton standing behind me, they thought that he'd attack them.
I love it. Listen, that's exactly how he used John Bolton, right? John Bolton was the hammer that just stood behind him. It's like, you know John Bolton. He's never met a country that he didn't want to bomb.
He was a warmonger. He's the one that got us involved, along with Cheney and a couple of others, convinced Bush, which was a terrible decision, to blow up the Middle East. You know, we blew up the Middle East and we left. Then we got nothing out of it except a lot of death. We killed a lot of people, and John Bolton was, one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect it for life.
So Susan Crabtree, who's a Real Clear Politics reporter, she's on the Secret Service beat, one of the best reporters, friend of the show. She reported that Bolton was woken up at 12:01 a.m. on January 21st by Secret Service, who told him Trump just revoked his protective detail. And Bolton was then told by the agents that he would only have them there for about 12 more hours. Yeah, Trump says you can't have that forever. John Bolton was very upset about that, obviously, and he went to CNN to cry about it with Caitlin Collins. This was last night.
Pretty chilling to Marco Rubio that virtually the first thing he had to do as Secretary of State is remove the protection of diplomatic security, which now guards Marco Rubio from one of his predecessors. What does that say to people in government? About what can happen when a subsequent president who dislikes criticism comes into office.
You know, it's funny because the irony here is you just had an administration via Joe Biden who wouldn't give Secret Service protection to RFK the entire time he was on the campaign trail until Trump almost had his head blown off. You know, the same RFK Jr. whose uncles were assassinated. This is the hand-wringing.
Have you heard from anyone who worked with you in round one, or any Republican lawmakers now who say, you know, this is outrageous and I disagree with this decision? Have you heard that privately from anybody?
I've heard it from a lot of people, and I think it's a reflection of Trump's character.
Oh yeah, it's a reflection of Trump's character. I've heard it from a lot of people. Things that never happened for 500, Alex.
Lack thereof. It's just very straightforward.
Have you heard it from anyone who's working for Trump right now?
The answer to that is yes. You'll understand why I wouldn't give you their names.
Yeah, because it probably never happened. Things that never happened, and other short stories from John Bolton.
Wow. So you have heard from, and yeah, I get that, but you have heard from someone who is currently working for Trump that says they disagree with his decision to yank your security and Pompeo's security.
Somebody who works on his political operations, yes.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Ambassador John Bolton, I really appreciate you joining us. I know it's tough to talk about this publicly because it is such a sensitive issue, but thank you for joining us tonight.
No, look, I think it's important. I think that people have to understand the threat that Iran poses and understand what Donald Trump does about it.
Yeah, hey, real quick before I end, Caitlin, can we bomb Iran? Is that your closing statements? Bomb Iran? Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, John. This is exactly why you're not in this administration now. Hey, guys, real quick. Can we bomb Iran? No, John. We can't. Thank you for your service. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at the Glock store. Have you been training with your firearm? You need to train more. Listen, I'm in that boat too. I need to train more as well. Man, when I do train, I train at the Glock store. Private rooms, personal instructors, not lane ranges with strangers shooting next to you. And when you train at the Glock store, you actually shoot less and you learn more. We go through real-world scenarios. You learn how to clear a room. You can learn how to clear a room in the dark at the Glock store. And all month long, they have a fantastic, exciting deal for you. Mention my name when you book a session at shoot270.com, Chris Hand, and then you get to shoot a full-auto H&K suppressed MP5 just for mentioning my name. Free. $50 value. You get to do it for free by saying Chris Hand sent me. It's a fun gun to shoot. I've shot it myself. You'll have a blast doing it. The right way to train, personal instructor in a private shooting room at the Glock store. And all January long, you mention my name, you get to shoot a full-auto MP5. Only in Nashville, only at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Book your session now, shoot270.com.
President Trump, while visiting Hurricane Helene victims in North Carolina, proposes getting rid of FEMA. And there's a former Nashville school board member calling for the director of schools to resign over the Antioch High School shooting. We'll let you hear all of that at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm not going back to Haiti. Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti.
That's Tom Oman reacting to the illegal alien that was arrested yesterday in Boston. He's wrong. He's wrong. He's going back to Haiti.
I'm not going back to Haiti. Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. I can tell him that.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Those guys are unafraid patriots, and they definitely believe in that Maha agenda, so clean up your water with betterwater.com. We got a lot to get to. I love that. He's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. That's so funny. You want an advertisement for why we need the deportation effort? It's that guy right there. F Trump. Biden forever, bro. I'm not going back. Thank Obama for everything he did for me. Tell Obama I love him. It's like, what did Obama do for you, bro? I have no idea. There's actually new updates on the arrests and deportations being made by ICE. They're coming fast and furious. Operations ramping up, using military cargo planes to send them back where they came from. Tom Homan was talking about this last night on News Nation with Chris Cuomo.
Well, I can tell you right now, Chris, is we arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals. Who are the other ones? They're either fugitives who've been through immigration court in order to remove but didn't leave and became a fugitive, or collaterals. Where did the collateral arrests happen? In sanctuary cities, because they forced us into the community.
Listen, where did the collaterals happen? In the sanctuary cities where we had to go looking for them. Because the sanctuary cities don't want to cooperate with ICE. They don't want to let them into their jails. And so all the people that are fighting against the deportation and, notify if you see ICE and post on Facebook and share. They're actually hurting those illegal aliens. It's just like, you don't understand. You're shooting yourself in the foot. But hey, nobody's off the table.
Look, I said from day one, no one's off the table. If the United States illegally, you got a problem. But we are concentrating on public safety threats first. And it just makes sense. I don't care if a Republican, a Democrat, Independent. Why not let law enforcement go into a county jail, a taxpayer county jail, to arrest a guy that you locked in a jail cell? So obviously he's a public safety threat. That would solve a lot of this problem. I hope the sanctuary cities come around. I really hope once they see what we're doing, and we'll invite you out, we'll be very transparent. Once they see that we really are concentrated on the criminals, that they'll come to us and sit at the table and work with us.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, that's probably not going to happen, right? Like they're probably not going to work with them. It does seem like it's a resistance operation against Trump, full stop. And we saw yesterday a federal judge temporarily blocking the Trump birthright citizen executive order. And you know what? Cool. Like, I'm here for it. I'm ready. I knew the lawsuits were going to come. Yeah, everybody knew the lawsuits were going to come. But send it up to the Supreme Court. We have legal standing. I talked about this a lot yesterday. The 14th Amendment was a response to the Dred Scott decision, which ruled African Americans could not be U.S. citizens, right? And then the Republican Party, the newly formed Republican Party, those racist Republicans, they drafted the 14th Amendment. Michigan Senator Jacob Howard served on the Joint Committee on Reconstruction. That was the committee that drafted the 14th Amendment. Howard is the guy that argued to have the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof in the 14th Amendment. And when you look at the congressional records and the discussions that they had at the time, Senator Howard out of Michigan argued as they were writing the 14th Amendment, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States. It's in the text and in the congressional records. So I love that the lawsuits are happening. I really do. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. It's going to expedite the process. Get it up to the Supreme Court as quickly as you can. Honestly, I think Trump has the legal standing. People are mad about it, but Trump is just the first president with a spine to challenge it. So let's go to our conservative Supreme Court and see what they think. I think they're going to rule with Trump. We got a lot more on the border on the way. Plus, anything you want to talk about, 615-737-9986. Oh, and Ross Ulbricht, he speaks out after that pardon that he received from Donald Trump. Don't let me forget. I wanted to play that today because he has a lot of kind things to say about President Trump. We'll do that next as well. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Warmer temperatures for the weekend. Tell you about it during the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump now on his way to California to meet with wildfire victims, but he stopped to visit with Hurricane Helene victims first.
Everybody thought I was going to California. I said, no, I'm stopping in North Carolina first because they've been abused by what's happened. I mean, it's terrible. It should have been done. It should have been. A lot of things should have happened that didn't happen, so we're here. We're going to fix it out.
Governor Bill Lee is there, too. Meanwhile, Trump says he's going to be signing an executive order to fundamentally overhaul FEMA or get rid of FEMA, claiming they get in the way more than they actually help. And there's a call for Metro Nashville Public Schools Director Dr. Adrian Battle to step down in the wake of the Antioch High School shooting this week. Former Metro Nashville Public Schools Board member Fran Bush telling WTN's Nashville's Morning News Dr. Battle should have used COVID relief funds to purchase metal detectors.
I knew this was going to happen one day. I knew it was going to happen. And when I got that news feed to come across my phone that this happened, my stomach was, I couldn't believe it.
Bush says the equipment wasn't purchased, she says, because School Superintendent Adrian Battle believed they produce what she calls unintended consequences. You can hear this entire conversation with Fran Bush on the Dan Mandis podcast. U.S. troops on the way to the southern border now that President Trump's ordered them to patrol the area. Military also spearheading deportation flights in military aircraft, says Mary Alice Parks.
The Department of Homeland Security routinely has deportation flights, so we're not sure yet whether there's actually more people being deported than usual, but they definitely look different. These flights look different because now they are using military aircraft and getting support from the Pentagon to do them.
And multiple reports that President Trump has revoked the security detail for Dr. Anthony Fauci. CNN says Fauci's now hired his own private security that he's paying for himself due to ongoing threats over his role during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Ken Weaver in the newsroom. He's the man. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are your experts with HVAC and HVAC replacement. And these guys are patriots. I mean, they sponsored Brian Wilson's trip to the inauguration. Huge. They advertise on this station, so you know they're unafraid. And if you need a good deal on HVACs, well, they got the best. The best deals in the industry, like air duct cleaning packages. You buy the medium package, you get upgraded to the deluxe package for free. How about a free furnace checkup with any heating repair service or 15% off indoor air quality products? How about this? You need to replace the HVAC? You'll get a smart thermostat for free with any replacement, and then you can control your comfort from anywhere. This is just the tip of the iceberg on the deals Busy Bee has going on this month, and they can always find ways to work with you, and they can do it with anything. Plumbing, heating, or cooling. Call your Root Pro partner today for satisfaction guaranteed. It's always Busy Bee HVAC. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. Online at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I'm not going back to Haiti. So, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. I can tell him that.
That may be one of my favorite clips of all time. It's the context of what was and what we've been unburdened by, right? We've been unburdened by what has been. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Tom Holman is back, and he is ramping up operations. He said on News Nation last night that they've made about 1,300 arrests during deportation operations already. It's been about 3 days. Over 1,000 of them are criminals. A couple of them had warrants. A few were collateral. And the collateral, that was done in sanctuary cities. The people that are fighting, they're fighting to stop this, right? The DOJ says they're going to investigate state officials that are obstructing immigration officers. And I say good. It's about damn time. Put them on notice. If somebody wants to be a martyr for the woke ideology, let them. Let them. And make an example out of them. The Department of Justice will be investigating local and state officials who are interfering with the Trump administration's deportation efforts in sanctuary states and locales. According to Breitbart, in support of Trump's EOs signed on Monday regarding immigration policy, the DOJ has directed authorities to investigate state and local government officials who are getting in the way of federal law enforcement regarding immigration law. There was actually a memo from the active Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bove, and he notes that a Sanctuary Cities Enforcement Working Group will be created in order to deal with potential issues with state and local officials. In the memo, it states the Supremacy Clause and other authorities require state and local actors to comply with the executive branch's immigration enforcement initiatives. Federal law prohibits state and local actors from resisting, obstructing, and otherwise failing to comply with lawful immigration-related commands and requests. The U.S. Attorney's Office and litigating components of the DOJ shall investigate incidents involving any such misconduct for potential prosecution. Let's go. Here we are. It's a new day in America, and nobody's going to just bend the knee and take it any longer. And I wonder if some of this is already starting in some capacity. I saw a story, again, this one's on Breitbart. FBI actually raided a prominent immigration lawyer in Rhode Island. There was video footage posted on X, on Twitter, and it's FBI raiding the offices of immigration attorney Joseph Molina Flynn, who also served as a municipal court judge in Central Falls, Rhode Island, until his resignation on Thursday. An FBI spokesperson told the Providence Journal only that the agency is conducting court-authorized activity at that address. Other sources familiar with the matter told the newspaper that Molina Flynn's office is the focus of the FBI raid. So then he resigned from his role as a municipal court judge in Central Falls on Thursday after the news of the FBI raid broke to the public. And I just wonder if it's connected. MSNBC, though, they're very upset. They're very upset. They had some NGOs on to talk about this. And they had an NGO, non-governmental organization director. And she's saying we need more immigration lawyers. And that Trump, this is what I always love. Trump is creating a national crisis with deportations. No, Biden created the national crisis with a wide open southern border.
Talk to us about how this is all going to go down at the border. Most of the people in your organization, as you just explained to me, are in New Jersey and New York.
Yeah. And I think that what the approach that Humanigration is taking right now is to really focus on a holistic approach, because there's so much fear with all these executive actions that have been enacted, from rescinding the term of non-citizen to alien. These are very pointed policy decisions.
No, listen, words matter. And one of the things that the left does the best is they manipulate the language, right? Non-citizen doesn't have the same hit as illegal alien. Undocumented person doesn't have the same hit. Yeah, it's illegal alien. It is. And you knew that the left manipulates language when, during the State of the Union, when Biden called Lincoln Riley, and then he called Jose Ibarra an illegal alien. Then he went on, I think it was NBC or CBS, one of those, to apologize for doing that. I shouldn't have used the term illegal alien. I should have said undocumented. Yeah, words matter. And we're getting back to more precise language in this country under Donald Trump. And it scares people. They're scared. They're scared they're being referred to as illegal aliens again. Well, it's what you are. It's what you are.
And today, another order showing that anyone present inside the United States who has been here for less than 2 years can now go into a expedited removal, which gives less due process rights.
Well, you're an illegal alien. We don't really owe you due process. You snuck into the country, and now you have to go home.
And so we are, number one, trying to support all non-citizens, no matter where they're located, letting them know that there are many organizations here that are fighting for their rights.
Are you organizing lawyers for them?
Yes. And so we, at Humanigration, we also mentor new lawyers. We have a big community. We're located all over the United States, and we are doing a pro bono work, especially for people who don't have the means for lawyers, because these are very, essentially what Trump is doing is using a cannon to kill a mouse. It's very destructive and very disproportionate to the issue at hand.
He's using a cannon to kill a mouse, and this is disproportionate. The numbers that Trump will throw out is 21 million illegal aliens entered the country under Joe Biden. He's using a cannon to kill a mouse. No, I mean, we need to go a lot harder. She goes on to say there's a national crisis, and they're so fearful and they're so worried. I would argue that these non-governmental organizations really don't give a bleep about the illegal alien whatsoever. But what they care about is the money. And there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot in these non-governmental organizations and how they resettle illegal aliens in this country. The Catholic Church, they're one of them. The Catholic Church is one of the biggest offenders as far as NGOs go. And the Catholic Church has been outspoken about Donald Trump's immigration policy. The U.S. Catholic Church was speaking out about it on CBS. And you go, well, why? Why are you speaking out about that? Well, I think it's important to point out, in 2023, over half of the Catholic Church in America, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops and Affiliates, half of their revenue, more than half, came from government contracts they received to resettle illegals in our country. $129 million. So they don't really care about the illegal aliens whatsoever. They care about the money. That's what this has always been about. And you can do this with any cause on the left. Like even the transgender insanity. When gay marriage was legalized, you had a lot of these NGOs realize that their cash crop of fighting to legalize gay marriage was over. So you got these 501c3s, these nonprofits, and, well, how are we going to continue making money? Well, let's go find the next cause. Now, some of them went off into transgenderism. Others went into illegal alien work. But these non-governmental organizations are not just using donations. They're using tax money to fund this mass migration that we've seen over the last 4 years.
People watching this going, whoa. What is this NGO UN collaboration, and how does it involve us? Really quickly explain it.
This has been going on for 4 or 5 years straight now, at least $6 billion, a very close collaborative partnership between the Biden-Harris State Department and those 230 NGOs and 15 UN agencies to send hundreds of millions of U.S. tax dollars to migrants on the trail, helping them, sustain them in their northward trek to the United States border, and wittingly. They know exactly what they're doing. And the odd thing is that even though they know that Donald Trump won, they still are putting together a $1.4 billion package for 2025 and another $1 billion package for 2026, which tells me that even though the numbers might be low, they definitely want to keep the pressure up and on the southern border, maybe to induce a failure, do something. But they're definitely planning to be in big business.
Yeah, it is big business, and you're funding it. You're funding this. These NGOs are taking in a lot of tax money, a lot. The U.S. Catholic bishops, they're making half of their budget off of resettling illegal aliens. You got hundreds of NGOs working with the UN to resettle illegal aliens here, and they're all getting gibs, and they're all taking a little bit off the top.
So, Todd, let me understand this. So this is essentially making life easier for those who are trying to make the trip up to the border, correct? And what groups are we talking about here? Is this like Catholic Relief Services? Is this the Lutheran Church? Other, kind of more radical immigration groups? Give me some names.
Right. All the major religious groups are represented here. So, you've got HIAS, you've got Caritas, you've got the Lutherans, you've got the Seventh-day Adventists, you've got international relief agencies, the Red Cross, there's 230 of them, and they're all listed in the RMRP online. That's their budget document. You can go look it up. They're all there and how much money they're going to spend. But the majority of that cash that they're getting is coming directly from the U.S. State Department. That is a close collaboration. I know the Trump administration, brand new, is very busy right now, but they shouldn't forget to turn the spigots off if they want to shut that down.
Yeah, and I think that the new State Department, especially now that it's under a new administration, it is going to turn the spigot off very soon. That was Todd Bensman talking. He's with the Center for Immigration Studies. It's your tax dollars funding all of this. It's absolutely insane. And real quick, I wanted to do this Ross Ulbricht pardon. Ross was the founder of Silk Road, and he got caught up by the feds.
Last night,
and Donald Trump pardoned him, and he posted this video on social media last night thanking Donald Trump for the pardon.
Last night, Donald Trump granted me a full pardon. I was doing life without parole, and I was locked up for more than 11 years. But he let me out. I'm a free man now. So let it be known that Donald Trump is a man of his word. Thank you so much, President Trump, for giving me this amazing blessing. I am so, so grateful.
It's pretty cool that he put that video out. And it's just another highlight of what we're seeing in this first week of the Trump administration. Promises made, promises kept. We are witnessing the golden age of America. I think it's only going to get better. And I think that these guys are really, really working hard for you, the American people. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I started work in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
It's 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Chad Benson in studio.
What's going on?
We were talking about the rumor of the Russia peace deal, what they need, and that Putin wants Fauci extradited for crimes against humanity.
I'll make that deal. How about you, Udovich? You make that deal?
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you. Damn good deal.
Listen, I know it's just a rumor, but I would make that deal. All day. He doesn't even have security anymore. It'd be easy to get him.
No. we can't be giving him soldiers, but or anybody really. But let's be real. I mean, Fauci's not going to answer. You know, everybody thinks that this some of the worst things Fauci's ever done. I have news for you. The gay community may hate Fauci far more.
Yeah. Well, he said AIDS was airborne. Remember that? That was all him.
They were going to have a vaccine. They were going to have a shot. All these things. They may hate him more than the rest of us. Yeah. Like if they could get to him, they would.
Yeah.
They would absolutely get to him, and they would just kick his ass.
I'm not doing it.
Super.
Be like Kramer in the ribbon.
Yes.
Get him. He's not wearing the ribbon. Yeah. No. Listen. I'd make that deal.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, if that's would you sacrifice a life to save potentially 1 million more?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of deal in theory. But he's going to end up. He's going to have to Putin's going to have to make the deal anyways.
Oh yeah. I mean that deal's coming, and I think they both want it.
Oh, absolutely. He needs an off-ramp where he can go back to his people and said it was worth everything. We've stopped the Western incursion. We're still mighty and strong. We've gotten some more land. And then, everybody's already happy with Zelensky. You may not like him, but the fact that he stayed there, that was pretty ballsy, man. He stayed there when everybody knew he wanted him dead. Remember Biden the first weekend, you need to run. He's like, no, I'll stay here. It's like, let's just get it done with and move on with our lives because there's other stuff going on.
Yeah. I wonder if we get any refunds. Do you think there'll be any refunds? Is any of that money going to get paid back that we were giving to them?
Ourselves, though.
We were also covering their pensions and
but
all sorts of stuff.
Little bit of stuff, nothing like we paid ourselves. And here's the thing: this is where it's going to get paid back. The same people that blew all that stuff up and made the stuff to blow it up, they're going to move right on in and start building it back up.
Yeah, but the thing that bugs me is that it's not going to be the government that makes money from that. It's going to be the private sector, and it's going to be all their friends that get the contracts.
Well, that's just it. But they'll say, "Look, we're employing tens of thousands of people, and blah 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 blah." You know how it is, man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, well, I mean that's crony capitalism at its finest, right there.
100%. What's the big story on your radar today?
You know, the big story. It's Friday. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. I mean, we might touch on a little bit of Davos because I thought that was hilarious. A little bit more on what went on at Antioch and this kid, and this lunacy of, they took a gun away from him 2 years ago, and he blamed it on his dad, and he made fun of the fact that his dad ended up taking the fall for it. Because it wasn't his dad's gun. I mean, this kid was spun in a major way. And the question is, how did he get down there? And nobody knew about it.
Yeah, and he had so many red flags, right? Like they said that, and there's a couple that I'm like, okay, I need more context. Like when they said, well, there was a fight and he threatened a teacher. I'm like, okay, fights happen at school.
Yeah.
So let's put that to the side for a second. He threatened a teacher. Can I have some context? Was he kicked out of class and he's like, you better watch your back, Mr. So-and-so? And then,
but in a world of no tolerance.
I hear you. The one that got me was the box cutter. You can't be walking around school with a weapon and be allowed to return to school.
And in today's world where, especially here, right, because of covenant and everything, and in today's world, kid he had a gun. Yes, it was pre-covenant, but still, everybody knew about that. There was no other red flags. In today's world, you even pose with a gun sometimes. They'll tell you can't come to school.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's ridiculous, and it feels like they placated him along the way.
There was a kid in Florida that got arrested because he showed off airsoft guns on social media.
It's nuts. And that's Florida.
Honestly.
Yeah. And this kid had so many red flags, and they were everywhere. And he wasn't shy about putting stuff online either.
No, it's an awful story, and it's heartbreaking. And again, our thoughts and prayers with all the families and the victims. And as we start to unpack this, it does tend to get a little bit cold, and you kind of forget the human element of it. But I hope that everybody understands that we are praying for the victims, and our hearts do break for everybody involved. My friend Bo was down there, and he's talking about, the parent reunification process. And he's like, you see this joy when they see their child, and it's like screams and tears, and it's all this joy. But it's like you wouldn't get that level of joy if there wasn't the opposite level of devastation at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So as you're going about your day and you're discussing this, don't forget about the human element.
No. And him as well. That kid was mentally ill, and somewhere along the line on several occasions, people didn't pick up anything, or they missed everything. And you think to yourself, what was going through your mind, dude? How did you get to that level? Why did nobody step up, put an arm around you and go, what the hell are you doing, man?
Honestly. Chad Benson's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.